Hey guys, welcome to the Refined Savage podcast. Today on the show we have Tom Rini, owner of Black Flag CrossFit, and Pawel Wencel, who is a coach at Black Flag and was also the creator and host of the Uncharted Performance podcast that everybody loved. Check these guys out. Tom's a pretty smart dude and has a really unique way of programming CrossFit for athletes. And Pawel is an Olympic weightlifting coach out there and is doing some incredible things as well. Make sure you go to the website, therefinedsavage.com, and pick up some gear. Support the show. We're trying to do some cool stuff for you. We need all the help we can get. Thanks, guys. Enjoy.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been easy. All right. So we are at Black Flag CrossFit again. Recently voted the best CrossFit gym in the Cleveland area, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Sure.
Well, I mean,
we'll take it. Yeah.
That's through. Was it C Magazine? Is that the
Cleveland Hot List.
Cleveland Hot List,
right,
which is part of Cleveland.com, I think.
Pretty good deal. I mean, Cleveland's a big area.
Yeah, no, it's exciting, man. It was exciting. It's a testament to the community. I mean, they're the ones that go out and vote.
Right.
So, I mean, I like to think that it means we're doing something right.
Well, I've told you this before. When someone comes to me looking for CrossFit, and I tell them, we're not the right fit for you. Mm-hmm. You're not going to dig this. I always send them out to Black Flag. And I think, without having to look at your program, I think I know you well enough to know that there is a program. There's a plan in place.
Certainly, yeah.
And that people are going to be able to progress on it. I think a lot of what you get at a lot of places is they make up the workout that day.
Sure.
Or they make up the workout on a whim. Or this.
Heard those horror stories, yeah.
Right. This week you program, next week Pal programs, and then next week Alina programs, and there's no consistency to it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, just having known you as a human, I'm guessing there is a set pattern these people are going to follow.
Yeah. No, there's a structured program with a full macro cycle broken down to mesocycles, broken down into microcycles. We kind of just use the open as sort of our in-season or our competition.
Yeah.
And so I guess whether it's me being old school or whatever, having kind of a background in strength conditioning, we just based off, we do our programming based off of an annual macro that doesn't mean we don't make changes and nuances in there, but we kind of know, like, this is our template, this is what our focus is going to be during this part of the year. But, people do get frustrated by it because it's kind of like, within those microcycles, we have, an undulating pattern where we're trying to, kind of peaks and valleys types of deals. So we can't go, and I guess it's kind of anti-CrossFit, but we don't go full intensity all the time.
Right.
We program in workouts that are more recovery-based and or lower percentages. If we're doing a lot of higher percentage work, we're going to cycle in lower percentage work. And people get frustrated by that a little bit.
Right.
Because it's just this, I guess, ideology that if you're not getting the shit kicked out of you every day, it's not a good workout, right?
Yeah.
There's no value to it.
Yeah.
But that being said, people who do stay the course get to where they want to go and they do it injury-free.
Sure.
And they continue to make progress. So, but I work with my general manager, Pete Nelson, who does all the programming here, but him and I sit down on a weekly basis and walk through every workout for the week, for the next week coming up, and kind of like, this is what we need to do here. Let's pull back. Let's change things based off of where we're in the cycle. So, so it's, and I have a tendency to be overly thorough with a lot of the stuff. Anybody who knows me, I just, write, rewrite, probably to a fault a lot of times.
Attention to detail.
Try to be, yeah. And it's just the integration of methodologies. And I think we've talked about this before, certainly on Powell's podcast. And, I'm a big believer that there's value in everything.
Right.
And it's just how can we integrate those methodologies in a manner that's going to benefit people the most.
Yeah.
While maintaining this idea that performance isn't necessarily our determining factor, right? It's longevity, it's quality of life. And if we kind of focus on those things, we'll keep people coming back. Because as you guys know, there's a difference between kind of training just purely 100% performance-based, right? Like, hey, I want to go after 1 rep max back squat, I'm training this way. But a lot of times it's at the detriment of other aspects of fitness, right? So it's just a constant interplay of trying to find those pieces of different philosophies that work best with our program.
And you're breaking up the athletes, the quote-unquote the athletes, the people that really want to take that step towards regionals or whatever, from your local mom coming in off the street.
Correct.
There's a competitor program.
Correct.
Right,
Yeah.
you're working them through.
Yeah, that's something that we started 2 years ago, and it was mostly based off of demand. You know, we had people coming in and kind of asking, like, hey, I'd like to do something a little bit more focused in terms of competitions. And we certainly didn't want them going to other places to do it because Lord knows there's enough places to go out there and try and find that kind of programming, whether good or bad. So we started working with 11 athletes last year, 2 years ago, and it's kind of grown. But again, to what you were saying, the focus is definitely different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those people aren't necessarily, if you're looking at overall health and quality of life and those types of things, those people probably aren't living that way.
Right.
You know, because they're focused on performance, man, you know, and versus the regular people who come in. But yeah, so we kind of broke them off into two separate programs, get competition based.
When you look at whether it's competitive CrossFit or competitive strongman or competitive powerlifting, it isn't always exactly the healthiest thing you can be doing for yourself.
No way, man.
It's a very extreme end to the fitness.
Yeah, I mean, the way I always view that type of stuff is you have to work people to their fringe, man, to their breaking point. And then when they think they're at their breaking point, they're not.
Yeah.
Right? So it's your job as a coach to kind of be like, all right, I think we're there, but we need to push a little bit harder. And then when we get there, then we can pull them back a little bit with the hopes that they can kind of super compensate or overcompensate getting into competition, whatever the case may be. But it's so funny. We were just bullshitting about this the other day. We had a deload week. You know, I run, I guess, a traditional almost powerlifting cycle where we run 4-week training blocks for the competitors. And so we were into our deload for a week or for like 5-day deload. Everybody's bitching.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my God, what am I going to do? There's no work. I'm going crazy. This sucks. And like we get 3 days into the next cycle and everybody's like, God damn it, this is the worst. I'm so sore. This is, you know. So there's no happy medium with them. But
it's tough because you're running a business. People are paying you to get good workouts, but in your brain you're going, I know how to do this. And this is going to suck the program for this week because people are going to hate it. But, you know, your brain's telling you that this is the way to go. I know the route. Yeah. I just got to get through this week and make people realize that this is the route. Trust the path. Stay on it.
Well, and trust you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. And that's at times is frustrating in here to what I was talking about before when people just want to get the shit kicked out of them. They think that's, you know, that's the point. And to me, it's this weird dynamic because it's like you and me and Pawel, like we are the people that you're paying. Like we're the professionals, right? This is what we study. This is what we devoted our lives to, whether it's through formal education or informal education. But we have devoted our lives to studying and understanding this stuff much better than you. And it's a service you pay us for.
Right.
So why do you all of a sudden you're a guru, right? You're the one going, well, this is bullshit. I shouldn't be doing this. I read in Muscle and Fitness that I should.
The internet is a wonderful thing.
Right,
like that,
right.
So you have to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
Well, and it's the old adage, you got to trust the process, man. I mean, it really is as cliche as that is. I mean, it really is because that's everybody just looks to tomorrow.
Yeah.
They don't look to 3 weeks or 6 months. Yep. You know what I mean? I mean, for the people that I'm working with right now on the competitive side that want to go to regionals next year, you know, they have to look at that as their goal and not how they did on a workout today or how they're going to do it. And then it's my job to understand how they do on a workout today is going to impact them tomorrow, 3 weeks from now, 6 weeks from now, 3 months, whatever the case may be. But it's a fun dynamic to a certain extent because you always get that moment, at least, you know, I have, where they kind of come up to you a couple weeks after the fact and they go, oh, all right, now I get it. I PR'd. Now I get it. You know, now I understand. Man.
That's the most difficult question I've had with the lifters or conversation. Just, you know, helping them, not necessarily helping them, but coming to a realization that, hey, like today we've had a rep max testing week. And, you know, that adds up over the course of the week. So you might have been killing it, you know, entire week, but today you might not necessarily do so. But again, come back on Monday, we're deloading next week. And it's a process, you know, you add on to it over the course of the span. So it's I think it's been eye-opening as a coach and a challenge as a coach to help having those conversations with the athletes and helping them realize that, again, not every day is going to be perfect. Not every day is going to feel like shit.
Yeah.
But it all does add up at the end for in our spectrum is for the performance sake, to be able to lift more proficiently, more weight over time.
When you looked at, I used to watch those. Do you remember those old Iron Mind videos of like their training hall in Sofia, Bulgaria and stuff? I remember these guys used to hit max effort lifts sometimes 2 and 3 times a day, but it was never the same lift.
Right.
It was always, maybe they hit, 200 kilos in the morning session and they hit 185 kilos none of them seemed to be upset about that. It was the max they could do at that session.
That time,
and with the knowledge that over the next 4 years leading up to the Olympics, all those workouts would build on each other.
Yeah.
To hit when it counts.
Right, and that's how those guys would program as a 4-year macro, right? Yeah, man. I don't. It is from like a programmer perspective though. It's hard to monitor the because like I know for your training, like you'll do your powerlifting stuff and your strongman stuff, and then you program in sort of like Metcon stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, is it difficult to kind of monitor the volumes and intensities that people use, and how do you kind of?
Yes. And I can't leave it up to them to figure that out, as you know.
Right. Yeah.
So what we'll do is I kind of will give them a guide at the beginning of this. Okay, this is an 18-minute AMRAP. We need to. You don't have to be super fast. Let's just keep moving, keep rolling. Or we're doing a 3-minute AMRAP. This is a sprint. You don't fucking need water. You don't need to go to the bathroom.
That chalk up.
You don't need to chalk up. Make sure your collar's on nice and tight, Johnny, because we're not going to tighten them in between sets. You're just going to go as hard as you can for 3 minutes and it's over. And it's a different intensity because we don't get into the... We probably don't go as hard metabolically as you guys do. There's no ski ergs. There's no... assault bikes, those are going to test that heart rate. We talk about making formidable athletes. If you're super strong and you can give me a mile run, I'm happy. So it's a little bit different. No one from our gym's going to regionals anytime soon. But we've got some really, really strong individuals. But I want to be able to run a mile too.
Yeah.
So we throw that in there every once in a while just to make sure they can do it. And it's just, as you know, you have to hold their hand, make sure this is what we want out of this workout, every time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the way we work it out. Just a little bit different.
Yeah. It's hard to get the athletes to understand what the stimulus for the workout is, or what the intended
That's
stimulus
what I'm trying to say,
yeah.
You're either going to sprint this out, or we're just going to grind.
Well, and it's funny, too, because it's again, this I don't necessarily 100% agree with the idea that intensity trumps everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, I guess that's anti-CrossFit to a certain extent, but and it's just biology. I mean, it's just we're not physiological. If you have a 20-minute workout or a 30-minute workout, I say this to people all the time. It's kind of become a thing around here, a joke. I tell people, don't be a first-round hero. Like, nobody gives a shit how fast you go in the first round. Consistency always trumps intensity, especially in a longer duration workout. But when we go into workout, I'm like, hey, guys, look, you need to, if you want to stay consistent with this workout, again, understanding what we know about metabolic demand, it's 40% capacity, 40% of your threshold. 40% of your threshold. They look at me and go, what do you mean 40? Like, they have no concept what that means.
Right.
It's like, but that's the intended stimulus of today's workout, right? Versus if we're doing a 3-minute shit kicker, it's like, all right, guys, 90%, let's go and try and hold on.
Yeah.
But again, it's tough for people to kind of get a grasp of that. But the athletes that do, they always do much better.
Right.
And they make progress much quicker.
Yeah, we've been really playing with our program lately. And it's funny what Conjugate entails. And CrossFit in itself is Conjugate.
Sure.
It's a rotation of exercises and intensities. So we still keep our 2 max effort days at the beginning of the week. But I realized we weren't getting our hands on the strongman stuff enough. So we started mixing in Wednesdays where it's usually going to be some kind of pretty tough Metcon with heavy strongman stuff. And then maybe a lift afterwards or a bunch of auxiliaries afterwards. So we've kind of played with it. So that's why I always say if Louis were to walk into our gym and see our program, he would probably go, oh, that's Conjugate, but it's not my program, But if you look at Louis versus Shane Sweat, and I've talked to on the podcast, and I've talked to Shane, I've talked to a couple of his lifters. Their programs are very different from each other. You know, even though Shane came out of Louis' camp, and it's just interesting to be able to be creative inside the bounds of whatever you do. But you know, when you look at CrossFit in general, it's very conjugate. There's
without a doubt,
and it's just how well you put it together. And that's why I said, someone with your background as a strength and conditioning coach, I know that there's going to be a program when people get here.
Sure. And I think if you want to make long term, there has to be.
Yeah.
I think even CrossFit would say that the idea of the hopper is absolutely it's silly. And it's sad to say I know of the area there's gyms that still do it.
I could name a bunch.
Yeah, so it's disappointing. It's disappointing because what it does is it gives, I think, people like us a bad name, or facilities like ours a bad name, because everybody just gets associated with that.
My problem with the CrossFit model, and I think we've talked about this before, is Glassman's theory is that if you have a bunch of shitty CrossFit gyms, they're going to close down because their members will come to you. And that doesn't happen. They think CrossFit is CrossFit no matter where you go.
Agreed.
And we get lumped into it because we were CrossFit. And,
right.
And it's, if they go to CrossFit No Mercy down the street and CrossFit No Mercy kills them and injures them and makes them shitty, they don't come to you. They just quit.
Right. Exactly. And that is the dynamic. And I feel like the trend's changed a little bit. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's kind of come full circle where people are starting to understand like there's positive applications of CrossFit style training.
Yeah.
Maybe not CrossFit in terms of competitive CrossFit, but in terms of mixed modal, high intensity work.
Functional fitness
is
the best thing that's happened to fitness in years.
Absolutely. I mean, that's strongman is pure functional fitness.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, and you're seeing it. I mean, at the games last year, I mean, they had the strongman deal.
Yeah.
And I was always wanted to ask you, like, what's your take on, we're functional fitness, and all of a sudden here we are 10, 12 years in the CrossFit Games, and they actually started throwing in, strongman work.
It surprised me it's taken this long.
Yeah.
Rob Orlando, as much shit as he takes from the strongman community, because Rob Orlando was, I don't know how good he was as a strongman. He was a little guy. He wasn't very big. But he gets a lot of shit from the strongman community. But Rob Orlando has done more to get strongman more popular because he's turned it into this CrossFit strongman cert. I'm surprised it took them that long to put that stuff in the games. It's kind of cool to watch. I think, whereas you guys do a lot of Olympic lifting, I don't have that movement. So I would rather teach someone to lift an Atlas stone instead of, I can't even rack a barbell. So you don't want me teaching you how to do it clean, So it's easy for me to have someone stand over an Atlas stone. I can teach them to do a pretty good Atlas stone to shoulder in a matter of seconds. Mm-hmm. Where, a clean, maybe if you're working with me in a clean, you're never going to make me look good doing a clean. It's never going to happen. I don't have that movement. I don't have the mobility. It's tough. So I think the cool thing about strongman is that everyone can do it. Mm-hmm. I've got a 35-pound Atlas stone in the gym. I've never had anyone in there who couldn't put it on their shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it. They're very natural movements. So it surprised me that it took that long to get it there.
Did you watch that event last year?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, what was your take? I mean, were you impressed by how
weights were small, but the people are small. So
okay, so those weights are not even close to like.
Well, they're at a mid-level strongman competition, they're going to be running with 700-pound yokes. Guys that are 200 pounds.
Okay.
I remember the one. I think they were doing 160. The one year they did it, it was a decent weight. I think they were doing, guys were doing like a 220 stone, and the girls were doing like a 165 stone to shoulder. And I thought that was pretty good, especially for how little they are. They're not. They looked super jacked, but these guys are 170 pounds.
They are. Yeah. It is interesting when you see some of them up close. You see them on TV or whatever, and they look like you're expecting the 6'5" like Greek god.
Josh Bridges looks like he's a
I remember the first time I saw Rich Froning, man, at regionals one year, and I'm expecting this big yoked up dude, and I'm like 4 inches taller than him. But no, it is interesting. But I tell you, you take all that and everything that we talk about, but then you watch some of these guys, and I mean, to be able to do that stuff and then walk in your hands for 100 yards is like,
anybody who's tried to walk on their hands for 3 feet.
And that goes back to the whole functional fitness thing. And if the CrossFit thing is, maybe they can only walk with a 500-pound yoke, but the guys that are walking with 800-pound yokes can't walk on their hands or do muscle ups or any of that shit.
And I mean, I guess that's the sport too.
Right.
Yeah,
it was interesting to see. I'm glad they're starting to put more of that in there, and we'll see what comes of it. And
I tell you, it is very difficult though as a programmer when there's just so many things. You know, we have a group getting ready for the Granite Games right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, just when you go through their workouts, it's like everything.
The Granite Games, they do the workouts here, and then they send the workouts in. They have like a major competition.
Yeah, so we actually have, I think, 14 athletes going to Minnesota here in September to compete against,
And they qualify? Is that how they do it?
So it's very similar to the Open
CrossFit,
the way CrossFit does the Open, except it's just 3 weeks of qualifiers. But what they do is they put 2 workouts in a weekend. Mm-hmm. So you end up doing 2, 4. You end up doing 6 workouts over the course of 3 weeks. Yeah. And there's some shit kickers, but like you get down there, and like last year they had 3 workouts with sandbags. They have them swim. They have them, just do everything.
In Minnesota, they have them doing that?
St. Cloud State,
Wow. Oh, in a pool. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, there's a lake out there. They swim through.
Oh,
this
really?
lake. Yeah, I mean trying to program for all of it it's you have. I mean, I was going to give you a call and to have these guys come over and work with the star with you because
you know me, I love
I mean, that's certainly not my bread and butter. It's the same thing like with the swimming. I just assume. We were all kids at one point. We swam,
right.
So we got some of these guys in the pool. I got programmed swimming for them for the first time, and I guess they were over at Lakewood High School, and like the lifeguard came down and was like, "Are you okay?" Like, some of them are they just blocks. They just drop down, and it's not like a 20-meter, so it's like a 400-meter legit, swim.
Well, I always tell people when I was 21, I went down to take the Florida Department of Law Enforcement test. It's basically they're water cops. So they go up and down the intercoastal. They, arrest people for drinking and shit like that and whatever. And the test was bench press your body weight. I can't remember how many reps you had to do. And then it was a 1.5 mile run in 12 minutes and a 400-meter swim. And I thought, no problem. So I did the bench press, no problem.
Yeah.
And I got in the swim, and it was a struggle. And I'm thinking, I've been swimming my whole life.
Yeah.
I'm a water kid. I grew up with Gary. We're in the ocean all the time. And I ended up just barely making the 400-meter swim, and I was dying. Just barely made it. And then, of course, 1.5 mile run, I lost by 4 seconds. Sprinting a 1.5 mile. The guys at the finish line yelling out the time. 11:57, 11:58. Hits 12, and then a couple seconds later, I come across the line. So. Yeah, it did work out well, but the swim was definitely, people don't understand, 400 yards is a long way to go.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's definitely some panic, but I mean, same thing. I called the local swim group, and, so I got them meeting with the swim coach to, try and teach these guys how to swim.
But that's that MMA model where these guys, you can't be an expert in everything. So go find people in your area that can teach them how to do stuff.
And it's tough, I know I struggle with this, coach, because you want to be the one that everybody relies on. You want to be the one that knows everything. And I know we talked about this in our podcast, it's like, you strive to be the smartest guy in the room. And anytime an athlete comes to you with a question, you want to have the right answer for them.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit of, you got to swallow your pride a little bit and be like, hey, and I know I've reached out to you before with strongman stuff just because I don't have any experience with it.
Yeah, and I would do the same thing with CrossFit or Olympic weightlifting or anything like that. You just have to know what you don't know.
Yeah,
what you don't know that we all know. We all know all of it. You could teach stone to shoulder, but maybe it's this guy can teach it just a little bit better. He might have a trick for you.
Sure. Nuance in certain movements.
Yeah.
That other people know.
Speaking of nuances, what is going on with this barbell club? I told you were too tall to be an Olympic weightlifter, number 1. You seem to just disregard all of my teachings.
But I'm not tall. I'm not too tall to coach.
There you go, buddy. Those who can't do coach.
Right? No, so it's been a dream of mine. Again, I started I started learning the sport about 6 years ago when I first got into CrossFit, and obviously through CrossFit I was introduced to Olympic weightlifting, and I, like you, could not get into a front rack. Mm-hmm. And it took me about 6 to 8 months, and I just the challenge of, I find the sport for myself very challenging. Again, being 6'4", and just kind of being lumbering, not very agile, not very coordinated, not athletic. and self-deprecating. But I find it beautiful, and there's selfishly I get a joy out of it, being able to improve in it. And that was a few years ago, and then the more I got into it, the more I found I kind of dabbled in some other things, but I always came back to Olympic weightlifting, and the love for that I have for the sport. And then we had a barbell club here a few years ago,
a while back,
and then we kind of closed it up, and then for whatever reason and due to time constraints, but Tom and I talked about this when I became more available, and I've been very honored, and I kind of keep laid out on the line. I was very moved by Tom letting me do this. Right. Because it is a dream of mine to become an Olympic weightlifting head coach, and then have a very successful team, and then myself improve as a coach, and then more importantly have those athletes improve and succeed at a very high level and very high stage. We have very lofty goals for the group. We're very young. I think we just wrapped up our 4th week.
Very green.
Very green. I'm a very green coach. I'm learning a lot as I go. I try to, I do a lot of watching. Tom might not notice it, but when he coaches, I try to take as much as I can from him as I can. But it's Olympic weightlifting. It's snatch, clean and jerk, a lot of pulling, a lot of squatting, a lot of pressing. When I've met with all the athletes, I kind of told them that I try to scare them away from the program as much as I can. That this will get monotonous. This will crush your soul on certain days, like maybe today. But there will be also awesome days. There will be fantastic days. I think you will become a better person for it. Like anything, like CrossFit or strongman, whatever you choose to do, I think if you apply yourself wholeheartedly to a modality or a sport and come in and do the work day in, day out, I think you will become a better person, better friend, better sibling, better father. We have age ranges from, I think our youngest athlete is in her mid-20s to our oldest athlete is in his upper 50s. So we're
well, it's
all across the board,
Find something you're passionate about and put some effort into that.
Yeah, and it's we run 5 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings, and then Saturdays and kind of mid-morning into the early afternoon. And we're growing, and there's a lot of interest, and we're kind of working on some things to be able to accommodate that additional interest for more lifters to join the team. But it's an honor and a privilege, not just for Tom to have the faith in me and to be able to do this, but also have the athletes and the response that we've had. I think we talked about it. I would have loved to have 3 athletes to start with.
Right.
And we have 9.
Yeah.
So
that's great. Yeah, starting out a program like that and just.
But I think being at Black Flag and because of the community, I think this is we were ripe for this to start at the time that it started, and with the people we have in the community.
Yeah. Well, that new room too, is perfect. That way, one of the problems we have with starting separate programs is just time constraints.
Yeah.
You've got one big room.
Yep.
Where are you going to put these people?
Yep.
But with you have that little bit of separation will be nice for you. You can split them up.
Yeah, and that is the hard part, man. You don't want other programs to infringe on what other, everything that's going on.
Yeah, you don't want somebody coming in for their normal 6 o'clock class and now you have to do the powerlifting class.
Right. Right. Well, I think it degrades the effort that the people that are putting in there. If you have those 3 people that are doing competitors program while regular classes go on, I think it takes away the focus of what you should be, which is the community that you have in that class right there.
I agree totally.
Whether it's on purpose or not, it doesn't matter. Just having people in there that are doing something other than your group, it just takes away from everything that you're trying to put into building the community.
Yeah, just that little bit of separation. Probably
yeah, and I'd be lying to say if we don't have certain moments where it gets a little, you got a bunch of people in one room and there's still a little bit of that. But I mean, and it's tough, but I think that's just part of growth too. I mean, it's because you want to be able to offer something for everybody in different tastes. And my vision of Black Flag was always kind of an all-encompassing health and fitness campus type of deal where, we have a physical therapist here. We're working on some different recovery modalities. We're talking about, we're actually getting some red light therapy in here. We talk to cryotherapy groups, but it's just not going to happen.
I need a float tank.
A float tank would be very cool. We're talking about infrareds. We're talking about infrared saunas. But that's all logistics. But we're actually talking with the medical group to do, some type of stuff in here as well.
Right
So,
across
So, but some private practice guys that just work with CrossFit or strength athletes, where their primary focus is on a CrossFit style.
Yeah, right.
So they can kind of understand where somebody who does CrossFit versus like a traditional setting where it's like everybody's just cookie cutter and the same.
Yeah, I don't like letting people work on me who haven't done similar things.
Sure. So so to be able to offer separate programs like an Olympic weightlifting program, which I've always wanted, and we had, but just from a time constraint perspective, we just didn't have the facility. But we're going to be offering some new programs with kettlebells and maces and battle ropes and sort of the On It model. I don't know if you're familiar with the On It Academy. Yeah. So we're going to be offering some stuff like that. So being able to find space to do stuff, we've totally revamped our athlete development program, and it wasn't because of any other reason other than the facility space does not allow for.
How are you doing with the athlete development program? This is one of my pet peeves with USA Today is getting these young athletes to actually want to train.
Well, I think the biggest thing is the bullshit out there.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes. I'm not even gonna say you have some bullshit centers locally.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, I agree. That's what I meant to say. And I agree with you. And that's exactly what it is. And so they have these young athletes who who definitely should not be getting into specialized training.
Right.
But specialized training is really cool.
Yep.
And standing on a Basu ball or exactly. Or single leg hops to stick a landing, and they put and it's the fucking, pardon my language, but it's you guys, but it's I thought I was out on the floor for a second, but it's the fucking trainer.
Yeah,
I see trainers, quote trainers, who are well respected. I don't want to say well respected, but have a large following.
Yeah,
put a video of a kid doing, say, like a depth jump with total knee collapse, total shitty position, and they're like, well, you needed loading and, I'm like, why would you allow any of this? Like, I don't understand. But then a parent sees this, and then they push it. So that's the fight. And so we're big on, I guess you'd call it a conjugate model or Russian model, where it's like, general physical preparedness is kind of the foundation for what we're doing. So we start them out with, yes, we squat, but we squat without load. We lunge, but we do movement pattern stuff first. So we go through 7 basic movement patterns, and then we integrate heavy carries and all of that type of proper loading to give these kids some type of structural strength and stability to be able to start squatting or to be able to start cleaning.
Well, what's the point of having someone squat with weight if they can't do an air squat?
Exactly.
And the majority of the ones I get can't do a proper air squat.
Exactly.
Or push-up.
Exactly. And I know, as a matter of fact, those facilities that do that kind of shit, we benefit from it.
Yeah.
Because they come to our gym and they're like, oh, well, it's almost like I would call it a Division III college program, right? Mm-hmm. These kids show up, they get their card, they go, and they just,
do it on their own.
They pay their parents pay their $125 or whatever it is a month, and they go in.
I think it's way more than that.
I'm sure it is.
Because I've gotten a couple of kids from there, and the parents are amazed that I actually walk around with the kid and show him what to do and monitor him.
And so we've changed our athlete model directly as a result of that.
Yeah.
So we do that. So our athlete model now is like on a 2-on-1 or 1-on-1 basis, and that's it, working with an individual coach.
Yeah.
So
I wanted to limit ours to 10 kids.
Right.
So we have 2 coaches, 10 kids. That's it. And if we had more than 10 kids, we'll start another class.
Yeah. And so the biggest thing too is making sure we get a commitment from the athlete. So or their parents or whatever the case may be. But so it's 1-to-1 or 2-to-1. So you almost with the personal trainer. So that way we can really watch what you're doing. And then you have to commit to I think it's a 6-week commitment.
That's not bad.
It's not bad, but and that's the hardest part is like, when you're working, say, on a squatting progression or like more importantly, like a lunging progression or even a carry or rotational progression, if the kids come, once and then they don't see him again for 3 weeks, and it's like, and part of it, not even part of it, I'd say most of it's not even on the kid.
You're right. They
It's
can't
on
drive
the
themselves.
the parent, the parents are, I want Joey to be, he's really got some potential, and then we really need him, and then the kid doesn't show up for 3 weeks, and then they don't understand. So with the athlete, and that was my bread and butter for a long time.
Right.
And so I get very, I guess, sentimental about that. I'm very frustrated by it when, you got kids doing, I don't know, single arm dumbbell squats, lunge, and you're like, what are you doing?
Pepe was one of the kids I used to do this similar to you. I work primarily with athletes, and Pepe was one of my guys, and he wanted to bring this program back, and I agreed, and I kept telling him, look, you're going to have a really hard time getting the kids in. They don't want to train, or they want to go train at some place that's super flashy and having you doing crazy stuff that they see LeBron doing on the sports shows and everything. But once you get them to the point where they can do a good air squat and they can do a push up, really simplicity is the key to that.
Sure.
Get them. You know what? If you're not training at Black Flag, you're not training at Blind Dog, go buy your kid Jim Wendler's program. It's boring as hell. It will drive you mental, but it's 5-3-1 over and over and over again, and you just progress. And as a high school kid, or a junior high school, even college kids, people are going to progress on that easy program that is super boring, but it's just going to get accumulation of work over time. But you're right, that mindset where we're going to make this as flashy as possible, and we're going to try to bring in 600 kids, and maybe we get 1 or 2 out of that 600 who actually progress on this program, and we're going to push them through the media and make them look like stars.
Yeah, I think there's a huge discrepancy in terms of reality and expectation, especially in younger athletes.
Sure.
And I think we kind of touched on this with Lindsay on last Tuesday, and it starts even before you get to Black Flag and before you get to Blind Dog. What are you doing, and who are you doing it with outside of the gym? Is there PE at school? Right? Are these kids moving? Right? Is that being removed? Because when I was coaching high school kids, freshmen, they were just messed up.
Even the PE programs are bullshit.
Yeah.
Walk around the track.
And that's become watered down.
I've taught PE for years, and we didn't do anything health and fitness related. We taught them how to score bowling.
Yeah.
I'm not lying. Right. And this is at a probably arguably one of the most probably the most prestigious high school in the area.
Yeah.
And we literally taught them how to score bowling, play shuffleboard. Okay. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
Nothing to do with health and fitness and wellness.
If you really wanted to go to that Kennedy model, that soft American, we need to build that back up, I think CrossFit is the way to go with them. Even if they're not Olympic weightlifting, even if let them go through Metcons.
And I agree with you, Mark. I agree. I think
dips and gymnastics, and
I think if your goal is well-rounded fitness, I think that's why I love the CrossFit model, man, because you do focus on those kind of 10 components that make up fitness.
Right.
Especially if you're working with the development, which a lot of CrossFit is GPP, if it's programmed right.
Yeah.
Is a lot of GPP stuff, So I to me, every high school in the country should have something. If you're having physical education,
and you should have to pass physical education in order to graduate. You can't be little
There should be
Jamie.
a certain milestone set for individuals.
Right. It doesn't have to be anything crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
But Janie can't fake having a period 3 weeks out of the month so she can get out of doing gym class,
But no joke, my son, who's going to be a senior at Avon Lake High School, my oldest son, they used to have PE, or they do have PE, but it's an elective. But now they cannot run. They won't let the kids run because when he was a freshman, they ran the mile. A mile.
Yeah.
And some kid came home and bitched to his parents. His parents told the school, and the school's like, "Oh, okay, we're not gonna." It really is.
That's changed too. It's
and you hear about me bitch about all the time, and you're probably starting to experience with the 13-year-old. But my kids, my 13 and I have 11-year-old twin daughters, and we're involved in JO volleyball, travel baseball, AAU basketball. and it is
You're killing yourself,
insanity.
but they're much better off for it.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
So my daughters, who are 11, man, went to their JO volleyball tryouts last year as they're going to be 6th graders now. So as 5th graders, they went into one of the big camps on the east side, and they sat these 5th grade girls.
Yeah.
They were 10 at the time. The guy running the whole program is like, if you have ambitions of playing any other sports, this is not the place.
I hate that.
And we got up and I'm like, this is
times.
bullshit,
Yeah.
man. We walked out. I said, my daughter's going to play basketball. They're going to,
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? And it's just read the statistics. Like, it's not, the sooner your kids specialize,
Yeah.
there's a reason why gymnasts are done when they're 20 years old, right? Because they specialize when they're 5.
Yes.
It's the reason why Olympic weightlifters, they're all done when they're
Yeah.
25 years old because they're just shot. And the statistics support that.
Yeah.
But
So does every college football coach in the country. He says, they all say, I want my kids to play multiple sports.
I'm telling you.
We'll get them strong when they get to college. Don't you worry about it.
When I was still in a high school setting, every college, especially major Division I, they always wanted to see him play basketball.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was multiple guys that got offers from major, top 25 programs. They didn't get offers until they watched him play basketball.
Right. Yeah.
Can they move?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can they move lateral? Can they do all these things that basketball players have to do? The football. I mean, is he really an athlete or is he just a football player? And that's a totally different discussion because there's pros and cons to that as well. But
yeah, it's really frustrating for me. When I had the Ludus, Cleveland Avenue Ludus, before we opened Blind Dog, it was this 20 by 20 dungeon garage. Roof was falling in, it would rain, it would leak in there. No heat, no air conditioning in the winter. I mean, shit was frozen, bars. 15, 20 kids show up, knock on my door, go in there and start training. They're shoulder to shoulder weightlifting.
toughest SOBs in the world too.
And then it seemed like there was a drop off. It was like all of a sudden, like Pape was like the last one of those kids in that program. And then it just kind of dropped off. And I've talked to coaches around the area, and then you start seeing, like we talked about, the football programs are all starting to fall off, And it's really weird. I don't know what's going on. I think a lot of it has to do with mom, who when the kid runs a mile and his knee hurts, and mom goes, well, I've just called the school, honey, and we'll deal with this.
Yeah, you're right on. The role of the coach is non-existent anymore.
Yeah.
In the sense that the coach was, the parent when the parent wasn't there.
Right.
But the parent trusted the coach. The parents, entrusted the responsibility of discipline, of all those things. And now, if if a coach yells at your kid, boy, you better be ready for.
I coached track and field for 15 years, and I couldn't go back now. I don't have the personality. I can't stop from dropping F-bombs. I'm going to tell a kid when he sucks. You're going to get positive encouragement, but you're not going to get a real compliment unless you do something really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way I coached, and I think they would have ran me out if I tried to come out today.
I'm trying to figure out what happened and when it happened, because even the kids I had, they enjoyed when I dropped an F-bomb or two, or I flipped the table. That happened.
They just
on
wouldn't
occasion.
have blinked an eye. They wouldn't have gone home and told mommy.
Yeah, even when I was doing it, it was like, I don't know, it made you more real to the kids, or you know what I mean? Like you were
I
on their level.
remember the most inappropriate moment of my entire coaching career. I had this girl named was Abby. Great girl, great thrower. She was jacked. She was super aggressive. And it was like my last season coaching track. And she comes up to me, and I'm standing there with her dad. And she comes up to me, and she's just not getting it. Her head's not right. And it's, she's got to throw a certain distance to regionals. And so I know this girl's switch. So I start getting in her face, and I'm yelling at her, and I'm saying, you just got to get in there and turn it on and go after this thing. And then she gets ready. They call her name, and she turns around, and I smack her on the ass as hard as I can. She goes in the ring and throws the... Can you imagine doing that now?
Oh, no.
I mean, Jesus Christ, I'd be in jail.
Yeah, and it'd be on the news.
Right.
And
Her parents are hugging me, and
Yeah. It is a different beast. It is a different beast. And it's a tough dynamic. I don't know how you fix it. I don't know how you change
I
it.
think you can fix it one kid at a time, and that's all you can do. I really focus on my kid. My kid, like we talked about, my kid's watching Jocko Willink videos, and I'm trying to. And we have moments, he forgot to let the dog out. He came home the other day, forgot to let the dog out of her pen to the bathroom. And I caught him upstairs. I think he was playing on his cell phone or something. so we just had a talk, and I said, I forget things all the time. I said, my brain's going a million different places. I said, but did you ever notice that yellow legal pad I have sitting next to my chair? I said, it's got a list of everything I have to do during the day. And as I check them off, when their last one's done, I can do whatever the hell I want. He said, hey, that's what we're going to do for you. I said, you're never going to have this problem again. I'm not going to have to come here and talk to you again. He said, all right. But I think it takes having those conversations. I'm not going to yell at him. Yeah. He screwed up. I screw up all the time. But here's the solution. This is how we fix it. And this is the kind of person you want to be. You don't want to be, your friend who lets his dog shit all over the house. That's not what you want to do. So I think it takes one kid at a time. But I had a kid come in the other day, and his mother, he wasn't showing up on Wednesdays and Fridays, and those tend to be tougher workouts. And his mother told him, he says, well, he doesn't show up on Wednesdays, Fridays because he says they're too hard. So he came in on Thursday, and I dragged him up front, and I said, what kind of man do you want to be? Mommy isn't always going to be there for you. What kind of man you want to be? And he hasn't missed it since,
That's good. But even doing shit like that is, you're playing with fire.
I am.
Yeah, because
you know what I mean?
You might go back and
How dare you talk to my son like that? Yeah. He's a saint. He's an angel. He doesn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. And I didn't tell his mom what we did.
Sure.
She came back and just looking at me, and said, he's going to come to Wednesdays and Fridays.
It's all good. Yep. It's all good. But it's weird. There's. I feel like the younger kids today don't know. They don't have to deal with adversity. And not that they don't have to deal with it, but they don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I guess, and I don't want to always point back to myself, but, the value of hard work, but the value of taking responsibility when you fuck up is there's no greater teacher than that. And learning how to deal with something when it doesn't go your way.
Right. Yes.
I think that's one of the issues with younger athletes today is it's like, it just happens in everything, right? Shit doesn't go your way, so what do I do? I quit, or I change it, or I stop, or whatever the case may be, instead of figuring out a way to deal with that adversity and keep moving forward. And that's really it. At the end of the day, is how do you keep moving forward? No matter what happens, how do we keep advancing?
Yeah, right.
Even if you got to take a step back to move forward, you got to do it. But I know that, my children, and again, we're at sports just all the damn
Travel
time.
stuff is tough, man.
It's insane. But anytime there's a little adversity, not just my son, but all of them, they all are like, instead of taking it like, fuck yeah, here we go, this is a challenge, this is why I do this stuff. It's the opposite. And I'll be honest, I dealt with it this morning here. We had a motherfucker of a squat workout. And, I had everybody like, well, the weight's really heavy and this and that. I'm like, if you drop it, put it back up on the rig, and we'll go again. Like, it's not right. Like, sometimes, and I told him, I said, this is where good becomes great.
Right.
And if you want to just stay good, then just leave the bar on the ground, and that's fine. We'll come back tomorrow and we'll work out again. But if you want to become great, sometimes you got to forge through the shit and fight through the adversity in order to become great.
We did a workout the other day, just me and Hayden, and it was the stupidest thing I've ever programmed. But it was one of those days where it's like, man, I just want to do something to kick my ass.
Yeah.
It was a 40-minute EMOM, and it was every minute on the minute you had to do a deadlift. Or no, it was a clean, and then a hang clean, and then a push press, and then a jerk with 70% of your max for 40 minutes. And we got about 8 or 9 minutes in, and Hayden goes, can we stop? Do we have to finish this? And I'm like,
we're in it. We're in it.
We have to finish this now. How are you going to feel if we don't finish this? And he was like, okay. And then by minute 33, I'm dying. He's dancing.
He's in the zone, man. Yeah.
What the hell, Dan? I wish I had that kind of energy, but
it's a beautiful
those are
thing.
Teaching moments.
Those are, and I think there's significant value. Although maybe they're not the smartest, like you said, physically, but I think there's significant value to work like that mentally.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that every week, but every once in a while,
absolutely. You need to do something to test people mentally. It's pretty, if you ever look at that SEAL Fit stuff.
Yes,
some of those workouts are insane,
man,
are insane, but they're just all, like, how can we break you down mentally?
Yeah.
Can you stay in it? Can you keep grinding? And I feel like a lot of the younger people, they just don't have that. I don't know if it's just culture or what.
And a lot of their parents don't know what a struggle is.
Yeah.
They don't struggle. They don't understand that breathing hard and moving a heavy weight, going to a karate class or anything that's going to make you struggle a little bit and fail and learn to succeed. And I think a lot of that comes back to that gym class. You know, you have to put that physical education back in the right hands and someone's got to take control of that and really improve it and get it back to that more functional fitness.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't.
I feel I don't have kids. I have no.
When are you gonna have kids?
Come on, P.
What the hell? How old are you now?
I just turned 35.
Oh.
Thanks.
This is the perfect time. You shouldn't be allowed to have kids or get married before 30, or even pick a career.
Okay.
After 30, you should be, allowed to do all that stuff.
Oh, and duly noted.
He's too busy traveling.
No. It's I feel like this should be the easy part of people's day, even though physically it might be taxing.
Yeah.
But I think if outside of whatever kind of commitments you have coming to the gym, you should feel of it as a privilege that you're able to do that. You have the capacity, physical capacity to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of people, don't have the physical abilities that a lot of us have, and that might be disabled, the veterans, just kind of perspective that the fact that we're able to come into the gym and coach and or train.
Yep.
As an athlete, I think you should look forward to it and cherish that. The hour or two that might suck, and you got heavy fucking squats that feel heavy. You should fucking relish that.
Yeah. I got pissed off at a class a couple months back, and we had a member die from cancer, and he loved the gym, man. He loved coming in. He was fighting. He ended up dying from cancer. We were in the middle of, I think it was a Saturday workout, and there was a lot of low lipping. And a lot of, not trying real hard. He hadn't died yet, but he was in the hospital. And there was a lot of this bitching and moaning. And I just fucking slammed my bar down. And I said, hey, you think Todd would love to be in this place right now? Yeah. What the fuck is your problem? And it was just like a switch that turned. And it was just like, I'm moaning and bitching over nothing. Here, Where'd you see James Spurgeon, the guy we sponsored through Refine Savage, who has one functioning arm?
Oh, yeah.
Constant pain in his shoulder and neck. And last couple weeks ago, he's at a strongman competition, and one of the events is stone to shoulder. If you get the stone to shoulder, it's 1 point. If you get it overhead, you have 2 points. And this motherfucker, one arm to shoulder, and then he pulls it around in the front of his body and gets his hand underneath it and presses the stone over his head with one arm because he wanted those 2 points, And those things are so inspirational. It's like, here I am. Oh, I've got a little bit of a hip problem. Who the fuck cares? Suck it up.
Perspective, man.
Yeah.
Perspective is a son of a gun.
So let's get back to this when you having kids.
let's get
I don't know if he's laughing because he doesn't want to or he's afraid what he's going to say when Alita hears.
I'm not saying anything. Next podcast.
Yeah. She said you're going to. What's going on with Rach Liv?
So it's it's our Alina's and my kind of side project, and I think we made like prototype shirts one time just to think.
I just got one yesterday.
There you go, and we should. So we were just like, let's kind of do this on the side, and see what happens. We love to travel. We've been to a bunch of places, and people ask like, when are you coming out with these shirts? When are you coming with these shirts? And this was like January.
Yeah.
So I think we finally got like a weekend time. I sat down with Steph, and we just got some T-shirts out. And it's hey, if you enjoy the outdoors and you love to travel, and again you have that perspective that you're able to travel to go outside, to train, and you maybe against the kind of going against the grain of the 9 to 5 type of thing. You just want to rage a little bit. It's not about anger, Tom. it's raging against the
dying of the light.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
The status quo, right? Which I've kind of always been about, and more recently. And then again, if you want to enjoy life to the fullest, and you want to break away from the shackles of whatever that might be, then rage, man. Let it out. And that can be different for everyone, right? We had a friend of ours from the gym. She went to, I think, Turks and Caicos and got over her fear of like diving, like cliff diving, and she was kind enough to get a shirt, and she said this speaks to me. I was like, well, I'm touched. I'm thank you that you say that. And so it's just a little side thing that we have going on. It's we made some shirts, we sold some, and it's nowhere near Refined Savage.
Well, yeah, that's not saying a whole lot, buddy. We can do better than that.
Yeah. I don't know if we ever will get to that point, but just we want to share where we've been, and how we kind of view travel and experiences and with other people. And people seem to be enjoying it and taking it.
Yeah. How was Iceland?
Iceland was pretty dope.
Yeah.
So this time we did the whole island versus going just like the south, which is where everybody goes.
Right.
And we obviously did the Blue Lagoon first, and then we went up to the West Fjords, which is magnificent. It's if you enjoy driving and basically next to cliff sides.
Yeah, right. Some of the places are sketchy.
On gravel roads. That'll kind of get your heart going. But the landscape and just the sheer just vastness of the landscape and literally just sparse in terms of people.
It's very difficult to
explain
Iceland to people.
It is. Yeah, you have to go, and I'm not doing any justice. But we went up to the West Fjords, just saw this massive waterfall, just like. Obviously, I'm like running up to it. I'm like, this thing is like magical, right? Like, you just feel like, you know,
energy.
It feels good. There's few moments that we have when we're kind of in our daily lives that you can experience kind of like peace and quiet, and Iceland is a lot of that. So we just kind of went around and just experienced it. It was beautiful. We saw a lot of things we hadn't seen before. There were some, I think one of the moments I remember, we were coming back from the northeast, now south, and we had to go through a pass. And I thought there's one ring road that kind of goes around the whole island, and I thought it was paved the whole way, and it wasn't. And a fog came in.
Oh, man.
So literally I could not, if we were driving, I could not see you or you.
Right.
That you're driving blind. And you don't know what's on the side of the road.
Shit, yeah.
And literally, I was freaking out.
Yeah.
I was going like 2 miles an hour, and with a part of the road that should have taken probably like 10 minutes took me like an hour to get through.
Right.
That was pretty intense. But then we got out, and it's fucking beautiful again.
Yeah.
And once you get to the south, then it just gets packed with people.
Yeah.
Just like the difference between the north and northwest and the south and the southwest, it's like night and day. And it's kind of unfortunate, but it's to see that because it's anything that something gets popular, especially in terms of landscape and environment, it kind of gets worn down by just the sheer amount of people, and like paths and trails get kind of beaten down. It's so I think they might be putting down restrictions on travel. Iceland. And I think they kind of did it to themselves in terms of the amount of marking that they had.
Sure, yeah. Now all these flights that are direct.
Yeah, exactly. And the layovers. But if you've never done it, you can fly to Cleveland. But expect a lot of people now. When we flew out 2 years ago, we were the only flight. The airport was completely empty when we flew out.
Yeah.
This time it was like fucking LaGuardia.
Yeah.
It was just like you couldn't move. It was like
we took Wow over there. We took Wow Airlines.
We took Iceland Air.
Iceland Air.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been telling Tom to go.
And he talked me into it. I didn't want to go. He stood in my kitchen and called me a dum-dum. So I didn't want to go. What is wrong with you?
I don't know, man. I'm not...
The weather's not... The weather, it can can be a challenge for some people.
I just don't... I don't get a lot of time to get away.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like...
Direct flight, man.
Yeah, but I don't... I mean... I don't know.
I think you enjoy it. You should...
I'm a big staycation guy. Like, I'd rather just lay on my couch.
Listen,
my wife doesn't want to hear that.
Like the Blue Lagoon, people love it, right?
Yeah. It was cool. We went very early in the morning, so it wasn't hard.
I think you would dig it. You would just chill. You can just chill, drink.
7 a.m. we were in there drinking booze. 7 a.m.
And it's natural hot springs.
Do you know that there's like 20 lifting stones there? I didn't know that until I got back. I just knew the 3.
Yeah.
So I went and lifted those, and then I find out there's 17 more of them.
No, you can just drive around and just like little historical announcements. But there's also
I have to go back.
There's this one. It was like a perfect moment. It was midnight, and this little town in the West Fjords, they have these little hot pots, which is basically hot tubs, right in the ocean. And the sun is not setting; it's just kind of twilight, and you're just chilling. And there's just 2 of us, and it was pretty unreal.
Yeah.
Very relaxing. You need to relax.
That's true.
Yeah, and it's like you're chilling in a hot tub, but it's like it's fucking you can't put words on it.
Yeah.
Scotland, I think Scotland still takes the cake.
Hopefully we'll be there next year.
Yeah,
Scotland, Ireland.
Iceland, yeah, Tom should go.
I'll add to the list. I'll add to the list.
Well, we usually head south. We go down the islands or something, but he talked us into it, so I'm glad he did because it was a great.
You're a big
experience.
Keys guy, right?
We're going twice this year, so we're going in October for Goombay Festival, which is going to be insane because Goombay and Fantasy Fest is just a 2-week long.
And that's Key West.
Yeah.
Okay.
Naked party, and I mean it's crazy.
How crazy do you get?
We're going to get out before Fantasy Fest starts. We're going to be there for Goombay, which is a little bit more artsy and not quite as crazy. And then we're going back down in January because she's going to throw in Highland Games down there. So I'm just going to coach her, quote unquote, sit and watch her drink while she throws. But she's like, honey, there's a Highland Games down there. Why don't we go down and throw? And so she was into it. So yeah, twice. And the next year we'll be down there. And I'm always trying to go somewhere. We're constantly trying to get out. I put Pat Bay in charge. So you just got to coach him up, get to the point where you can just walk out.
How long you been open? How long has Blind Dog been around?
It'll be 6 years in December.
See, we're not there yet. I think when I get to 6 years, if I'm not going on vacation,
we're not there yet. This place is like the Taj Mahal.
We're like, I don't know, but we're still like, we're 3 years.
He's never let him do it.
3 years. And my wife hates me. But I don't know. I and you're right. I need to let go a little bit. But it's, you know how it is. It's your baby. I put your heart and soul. Everything I do every day is vested in making this place better.
Pete's ready.
Just get your update every morning. You have I'll call you at a certain time.
Well, yeah. So I mean, we're gonna take the kids away for a couple days in August, but it'll only be like 3 or 4 days. I can't.
That's a good start, man.
You just dip your toes in.
Yeah. But I mean, I'd love to go to the Keys. My wife and I got married in Marathon Key.
Well, that's with the Highland Games.
Okay, yeah, which was unbelievable.
Come down in January and we'll hang out and drink, and we'll put Pal and Zach in charge of the gyms.
Pete,
and we'll just still hang out.
There you go. Look at Pal. Like, I don't want it.
Pete, if you're listening, so you.
I don't want it. But Dad, going back to our youth, I mean, my old man just worked his ass off.
Yeah.
It was no matter what kind of person you were, no matter what kind of education you had, whether you were rich or poor, you always had hard work.
Sure.
Always. I was just telling a story today. I mean, when I was 14 years old, this is back when my family was involved in the supermarket business, and when I was a kid, 14 years old, my dad says, it's time. Right? You need to start earning a buck. All right, Pop, whatever you say. It's like, here's what you're going to do. You're going to ride your bike at 4 o'clock in the morning from Fairview to Rocky River, from Fairview High School, basically, to Center Ridge Road in Rocky River.
Okay.
Right? And you're going to shovel ice for the produce. Back when the produce, they'd have to take it off the shelf every night, put it in the freezer, and then you put fresh ice out every day. So when I was in 8th grade, between my 8th grade freshman year, I would get up at 3:30 in the morning and ride my bike to the supermarket and start and shovel ice. And I tell you what, I did 2 things. I certainly would never have questioned my old man.
Mm-hmm.
And I took so much pride in that job. You know, and it was a different time, and we had to wear ties, and you had to, your apron had to be on and the whole thing. And I would get all dressed up, put my tie on, my apron, I'd ride my bike up there. But it just instilled this idea. So and my old man was the same way. I mean, my father worked 7 days a week, from sun up to sundown and then some. And it's just, I have this deal, like, mentally. I mean, even training-wise.
Yeah.
It's like I've just recently gotten into the mindset where it's like, I don't have to kick the shit out of myself every day.
Yeah.
And I'm better for it.
Yeah.
Like, I've made more progress by doing less work than back when I was still killing myself at 40 years old, being like, I still got to squat 600 pounds, and I still got to. So from the business perspective, it's just like, and I guess, you hear enough people say, well, you're going to fail, or you're not going to do this.
Most of them will.
Right, but when you hear it about yourself, it's like, well, fuck that. I'm not going to be that guy. Yep. And I'm definitely not the smartest guy, especially when it comes to business, but I'll be damned if anyone's going to outwork me.
Well, and I think that's the one deciding factor for most of these businesses that fail as opposed to the ones that succeed is, this isn't the products we offer are not, they're not novelty products. They're not something that, well, maybe people will want this, maybe they want. People want this. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of, are you going to outwork everybody else around you and become the best at what you do? And I think we have a little different geographically where there's not too many places around me that are, quote unquote competition. But you are in the belly of the beast with several gyms that offer, even though they don't offer what you offer. Everybody thinks they offer what you offer.
Right.
So it's just a matter of being smarter and working harder than everyone else around you. I don't think you can go wrong just working. Just keep working, grind it.
Agreed. But so that's why I have a hard time stepping away. And these guys know. I have a guys trip we have every year where we go to Put-in-Bay with a group of buddies that I went to high school and grade school with. And they're always like, why, just put it down, man. Stop checking. You don't have to respond to an email. I do. I gotta do it. And my wife's a saint because it's been 3 or 4 years since her and I have been away.
Yeah.
And she's kind of resolved the fact, and she gets it a little bit. But at the same time, it's like, why are you working? It's 10 o'clock at night. You've been at the gym for 14 hours. Like, you don't need to study. You don't need to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, babe, I do. Like, you don't get it. And
So we go back. She's been fully supportive, but there's certainly nights where she's like,
Well, I've added the brand on now to the Refined Savage on the Blind Dog, and it's I get dirty looks all the time at home. My wife works very hard, but she works from 7 in the morning till 5 at night, and that's it.
Right.
She's done. If I get a text message at 7 o'clock at night from somebody who needs something, I'm going to answer it.
Yeah.
I just can't not answer it.
Yeah. And I all the books I read and everything says that's bad and that's wrong. And, but again, it maybe
so you catch 22, right?
It is. And from a business perspective, I always think it's like, if I don't provide what somebody wants or needs, and I have the capability to provide that, what I think better than anybody else around, but if I don't respond to that person, they're going to go find somebody else who's going to do it.
Yeah.
It's why we have a competitors program. It's like, I feel like I'm fully capable. I knew it was going to be a huge time commitment, and it has been. And I'd be lying. I love it. We were talking.
Well, that's important too. That you're going to actually work there for something you love.
Telling my wife the other day, I have 3 loves in my life. I said my wife, my children, and this gym.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't seem like it's in that order, but it is.
Yeah.
But so it's hard. And when you build something, it's easy on the outside, and I'm sure you experience too with your business that everybody tells you what you should be doing and how you should be doing. I had a good friend of mine who was a real successful accountant, and I had another business venture I was involved in, and it wasn't going well, and he's telling me all these different things to do, and he could tell I was getting frustrated, and he finally said, it's really easy to tell somebody what to do when you're sitting in my seat, but I got to tell you, I'd never have the balls to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
But when you have just so much invested in it, it's just so hard to take a break. Everybody, and you say we have the Taj Mahal here. As soon as I believe that, that's when things start going backwards.
Well, yeah, that.
You know what I mean?
Anytime you think you're an expert, anytime you think you've got it figured out, anytime you think you're the best in the area, you're in a lot of trouble because you start to sit back. I love the quote from Henry Rollins where he says, "No free time, no spare time.
Yep.
You just have time.
Just go
start
time.
working,
Yep.
motherfucker.
Yep.
Just keep rolling." I remember having a conversation with my father. I'd worked for the detention center for, at that time, 18 plus years, and Aaron and I are getting ready to start this gym, and he's trying to talk me out of it. He's like, "Oh, yeah, with this job, you stick with this job. A few more years, you can, another 12 years, you can retire." And he had owned his own business, and he made tube benders. I don't know if my father loved tube benders or selling tube benders, but that's what he did. He was real successful at it. And I said, "Dad, this is what I do. This is what I do. This is what I'm going to be passionate about. I'm going to work, super hard at it because I love it. So this is what I'm going to do." And it was just like a switch turn on. He was like, "Oh, okay. You want money? Can I lend you money?" We're like,
Yeah. It's funny you said. I'm going through that right now. I still kind of moonlight in a family-owned business on a real estate side, and it's I'm at that point now where I am so embedded in this that this is all I want, and this is all I've wanted for 25 years. And I let my father talk me out of it. When I first got out of college and was still training people, and I was ready to open my own facility, and he was like, "No, it's this, and they don't understand it. That's part of it, right?
That baby boomer generation doesn't understand this as a career.
Exactly. It's just your meathead, and it's just, it's pushing around weights, and it's not really.
My father's told me that 100 times. You gotta understand how you get people to come to your gym.
Yeah.
He can't figure it out.
But then when you I think when they see how passionate,
Right.
And what it really means, and to me, when they see or when you tell them that the impact that you're having on people's lives, I mean, shit. I mean, that's really at the end of the day why we're doing this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, is we are all literally changing lives with what we do. I mean, we're having such a positive impact with what we do. I mean, it's why I'm here, because I had a strength coach when I was younger that had this massive impact on me in such a positive way. It's why I chose this career path. But it is. It's and I think now it's becoming, to a certain extent, much more legitimized, this kind of career path. But at the same time, it's also
still the Wild West a little bit.
It's been inundated with a bunch of idiots, right? Who can literally spend $100 online and they're a quote personal trainer.
Or they can go take the CrossFit
cert. Absolutely. I mean that drives me.
And it's not a bad cert.
It's not. I agree with you.
As far as it being hands on, it's just that these people think they're going to be able to open gyms now and succeed, and all they're doing is muddying the waters.
So I mean, I spent 7 years in college, right? Studied and sat through numerous exams.
Right.
Spent 20 years studying and reading and rereading. And some a-hole goes and gets a weekend cert and is going to open a gym and say they're doing the same shit I'm doing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's just a total, I would call it lack of respect. I don't even understand, but it frustrates, back to what we were talking about before, those people are setting the precedent for what I do.
Yep. And there's way more of them than there are of us.
And it's
way
almost
more.
it's to me it's arrogant to think that you should be telling people how to get more fit or how to move properly.
Yeah.
Just by sitting in a weekend class.
Right.
And not that you can't. I don't know if you know who Andy Galpin is. He's Dr. Andy Galpin. He just posted something about it when he was young and he spoke at a conference and there was Buddy Morris and all these big name, and somebody dogged me, just gotten out of school. What the hell is this asshole doing speaking at a conference with these guys?
Right.
How does this guy have any right to tell me how to strength train? He just got out of college. And people don't want to pay their dues. They don't want to take the time to learn. They don't want to,
They've got 25,000 followers on Instagram. It doesn't mean they know it.
But it's like if you want to open up a CrossFit gym and your ambition is to really help people, not just make money, to really help people, you need to go shadow with somebody who's been doing it. Go learn from them. Go get the experience. I know you went down to West Side and you learned from the best. I spent time with Dave Rabbit and learning about CrossFit. I mean, when I got into CrossFit, I didn't know that much about it.
Right.
And now I've taken the time and I've educated myself and I've taken the level 3 exam.
It's easier to come out of a sports performance background.
It certainly
learn
is.
CrossFit instead of the other way around.
It certainly is. But I had a foundation in exercise science, and I have an advanced degree in exercise phys. But
it's just another sport. We just have to figure out how to train the athlete for the sport.
Exactly. But and then working with Dave Rabbit and being around him and kind of understanding holy shit, these guys are elite athletes and the stuff they're doing is next level. But having enough respect for wanting to help people and understanding that maybe I'm not in a position to do it, or I should, at least not from a CrossFit perspective, and swallowing my pride a little bit and then saying, okay, if I can take a couple steps back and learn from these people, then when it's my time, I'm going to be 1,000 times better.
Who would you, off the top of your head, this might be putting you on the spot, who would you go to if you're a brand new CrossFit coach and you said, I want to go learn how to train CrossFit athletes? Who would you go and send them to? Because I look at the CrossFit Games.
Besides yourself.
What's that?
Besides
yourself. I look at the CrossFit coaches, and this drives me nuts because I don't understand the people coaching some of these girls at the elite level. The guys don't seem to have any coaches with them. The girls seem to have these beta male guys who are not the athletes they are coaching them through the games. And I'm certainly not going to go to one of those guys to learn how to train CrossFit athletes because I think there's something there. I think your girlfriend is super hot and super fit and super aggressive and a good athlete. I think just because you're making out with them on a nightly basis doesn't mean you're a good coach.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Who would I go to? I guess I would go to different people for different things.
Yeah.
right? I mean, I would go to Bergeron, obviously, for like the mental component of it and the mental component of it. The pure science guy, James Fitzgerald, there's nobody better in terms of like, hey, and having super structured programming, understanding is a big, long progression. What's his name? CJ at Invictus. I mean, all those guys
seems to have something. I don't know that much about them, but it seems they have something.
They do. But, really, at the end of the day, I call myself a coach. I would say with our athlete side, I would say there's much more coaching on that side. With the competitive side, you're really, I don't want to say a moderator, but, I mean, you give them structure.
Right.
I mean, most of them know how to do the stuff, right? You might give them little nuanced things here and there, but you're almost a facilitator and a moderator from that perspective.
Put them on the path, keep them in the middle.
Yeah, and just give them structure.
Yep.
Give them structure. But those are the guys. Like the guy, I really enjoy James Fitzgerald, and maybe it's because I like the sciencey side of stuff, and he has a tendency to really break stuff down from a sciencey perspective.
Yeah.
Like this is why we're doing this. This is why we're developing this progression this way. None of this shit is random.
Right.
And the more you do random shit, you might see some progress for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
But it's like the people that get into like comp train and all those big, I'm following this blog and Misfit and all these guys, and those are all great programs. But if you think comp train and what Katrin Davis' daughter are doing the same thing, you're out of your fucking mind.
Yeah, right.
But these people think that. So they go from, hey, I've been doing my hour-a-day CrossFit class, to now I'm going to do 3 hours of advanced training with super high volume, super high intensities, and they can't understand why they're getting hurt or why they're crapping out. And
you also have a 8-hour-a-day job. And And your kids. And, you're not on the same amount of drugs they're on. Mm-hmm. And speaking of that.
I figured we'd get to that. It took us a long time to get here, though.
I didn't think of it until you said that. What do you think? What's going on, man? Is this... I've been telling Powell this for years. That everybody's on.
We talked about this on this podcast before. I don't know. I guess...
Diplomatic answer coming in 3.
I don't think everybody's on.
Right.
I don't think everybody's on. I think now that there's legitimate dollars and, more importantly, legitimate sponsorships involved, like anything else. I was talking about it the other day. If anything, it legitimizes the sport.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, football, baseball, maybe not so much basketball, marijuana, and all that type of stuff. A couple years ago, there was a big deal with it. But, I mean, all those sports have had major scandals with that kind of stuff.
UFC.
Yeah, so it almost legitimizes the sport to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And I'd say from a CrossFit perspective, they're spending the money to test these athletes. I mean, most of the stuff that those guys got popped for, they're having, you got to spend some cash from what I know about it. Those SARMs that they take, which most of those things are, were pretty hard to detect, and they get out of the system fairly quick. And and I don't know that CrossFit actually put. And the other thing I like about it is that CrossFit at least addresses it and says like, hey, we're testing. This is how we changed our protocols, and they were testing everybody earlier in the day. Normally they would test them after competition. But now they're testing them early in the morning, the first day of, so, they didn't know that shit was coming at them. Yeah. But I think you're going to have it in anything. I hate, what I hate about it, Mark, is that it takes away from the guy who's in 38th place and who's really, truly busted his ass and who's done it clean and who's done it right. And then you get one or two. And I saw your post. I do agree, though. Like, I think it's absolute bullshit that she was like, it was a tainted supplement. Bullshit. You got to go online. Right. You search this supplement. Or it's not even a supplement. You search this anabolic or this precursor. I mean, it's not like,
Well, I had
you can buy it at GNC and it's in a multivitamin.
I did.
Yeah? She didn't give you any, behind the scenes protocols of what you should be on?
Emily did not tell me. She was taking fucking PEDs.
But
here's a question. Do you give a shit?
Do I?
Yeah.
I mean...
Seem like a good lady? Hard worker?
Yeah, I mean, does my opinion change over? I mean, I don't know where that well that it does or not. Right. I mean, she's not close to me. She was a guest on a podcast that I had on, 6 months ago.
But it seemed like a great lady.
It was a great conversation. Yeah, I mean,
if she comes to you tomorrow and says, "Yeah, I was taking them. I was trying to win, and a lot of the other girls are taking them too, and I'm just trying to be competitive." I mean, would you get it? I would get it. I would understand it. Yeah,
I would understand why she's doing it. Is she going to be somebody that I look up to and I'm like, I root for? I mean, probably not.
Yeah. See, I think CrossFit should, if I am being asked to counsel Greg Glassman or Dave Cass or whatever, I'm saying you keep telling people you're drug tested, and then every once in a while you throw out a sacrificial lamb that you don't really give a shit about. Because the worst possible scenario you can get into, I think they still do that. I think Emily Abbott wasn't going to be a big gun, and they threw her under the bus.
She's fairly popular. She's pretty well known.
Yeah.
She's kind of.
I think she was the perfect sacrificial lamb. She wasn't American.
I don't think she expected it.
It's the first time though she's won the regional, right? She won the West region.
I don't know, but she's been up there like 1 or 2.
Right.
Yeah. She's.
But like that guy last year who they popped at the game.
Right.
That guy. The guy was like
he had it coming.
Non-existent. Nobody heard of him, and all of a sudden you're on second place in the CrossFit
But
games.
if I'm counseling them, I say, throw your sacrificial lamb out and keep your little weird lab that you do all the drug testing out of.
Well, that's the other thing. They got to legitimize that a little bit.
Don't bring in USADA. Because if you bring in USADA, you're fucked. Look at UFC. I think if you go to Dana White right now and say, hey, do you want to was this a good idea to bring USADA in?
Right.
Privately, he'd go, no. Because all the money he's losing because they keep popping dudes. And, I long for the old Pride days where you had these guys that were just monsters coming in the cage and punching each other in the face. And, I don't want to see guys with dad bods fighting in the octagon,
Yeah, man, it's tough. I don't know. The way I look at it is like to have longevity in the sport. I don't know. I look at a guy like Rich Froning, and he's been doing this shit for 10 years. I don't know how, unless you're like a master cycler and you know how to. I don't know how you stay on it for that long and keep excelling. I don't know.
I think you take all the drugs away. Rich Froning is still the best. But I honestly think there's enough of them taking it.
Oh, yeah.
It just ups the game a little bit,
It's I don't know. It's the same thing as the baseball thing.
Yeah.
And cycling. More recently, right? When there was, I don't know if you guys saw the documentary.
Oh,
the Lance Armstrong one? Or the Icarus one?
Icarus.
I watched Icarus after we talked.
Yeah, that was
crazy.
People get tired of me talking about Icarus. I love that movie.
But people,
insane.
Everybody in cycling is doing it.
Yeah,
they're just
it's
not
insane.
getting caught. So, and those guys look like sticks.
Well, you look at World's Strongest Man. It isn't World's Strongest Man. You ask if they're going to test him World's Strongest Man, and they just laugh at you.
Yeah.
I had a buddy who went there, and he got Steve Pulcinella. He went to World's Strongest Man in 1994, Sun City, South Africa, and the big dum-dum gets off the airplane with a 100% drug-free T-shirt on, and they made fun of him for 2 weeks. The other athletes just picked on him for 2 weeks.
Crazy. I don't know. It's tough. I guess I'm a purist at heart, and I just want to believe that, everybody's like Rocky, and they just work really hard.
I assume everybody's on until they prove me otherwise. That's just my assumption.
No, I hear you. I don't know. It's.
And I got into it with a pretty well-known guy who was at the games, and he was so mad that I would say, I just wish she would have said, I did it, I'm sorry. My problem was not that she took it.
Yeah.
All the drugs you want.
Right.
You get caught, you say, yeah, I was trying to
Yeah, sure. No, I agree with you.
And he got so mad at me that this was a tainted supplement, and it's just your ego getting in the way that, you can't think someone could do this at this high level. And I was like, nothing to do with my ego. I certainly can't do that. If you give me all the drugs in the world, I can't do that.
Right.
But
Greg Everett was interviewed recently by someone, and he spoke to this obviously because Olympic weightlifting also has been riddled a lot recently, especially at the international level. And it was, those that don't take it, say that he got there because he was taking it, and those that take it is what's the big deal kind of situation.
Everybody's taking it.
So it's there's no kind of middle ground. Everybody seems to be some extreme one or the other, but it's to your point for the people that are doing it pure, and they come in 8th at the Olympics. If he might have been podium because it's the difference is a kilo or two at that level. It sucks that if you took it and then you would have met if you'd have podium or you medaled or you whatever competition. but that individual that's taking it get that tiny little advantage, whatever that fucking might be.
You know what? It really sucked if you had taken it and you thought you won a gold medal at the Olympics, and then 4 or 8 years later they come back and be like, "Well,
That happened
yeah.
They gave Adam Nelson, shot putter. They gave him his gold medal in a airport McDonald's. He was in Athens, and he tied. So Yuri Belnog throws like 70 feet, and Nelson throws 70 feet. Exact same mark. Now, This is they did the shot put in the actual stadium in Athens where the first Olympics happened.
That's pretty awesome.
Awesome venue. It would have been great to get your gold medal there in front of the
Right?
So they tied. And Bellinog has a further second throw because Adam Nelson fouled his other two. So he only had one fair throw. So they gave the gold medal to Bellinog. 3-4 years later, they come back and say, oh, he tested positive for this substance we didn't know existed back then. We're going to give you a gold medal. Met him in an airport McDonald's and gave him his gold medal.
That's
Fuck
insane.
that.
That's insane. That's
Happy Meal. There you go.
Right. Here's your happy meal and here's your gold medal, dude.
Yeah, man. The Olympics bummed me out now.
Yeah.
When we were kids growing up, the Olympics was like,
Right.
I mean, that's what everybody strived for. Now nobody gives a shit. You can't even get NBA guys to play in it anymore. I mean, it's a bummer. It's a bummer. But that would be.
So what you're saying is when you interviewed Emily Abbott, she was frothing at the mouth, her eyes were yellow, she was constantly doing burpees through the whole
interview. I obviously had no. I mean, I didn't even think about that question or thinking.
Sure.
Yeah, so
that's probably when you interview those guys. I mean, I know a lot of them get hyped up about it, but that'd be a great question. Like, what's up with performance enhancers that you see?
Mad over it if you even question that someone might actually take a supplement.
Well, when we expand, Black Flag Radio, and get these people on, you can ask that question.
I mean, I think it's a pertinent question. I think it's something that needs to be addressed because it's. But I do feel like that in an awkward way or weird way, it does legitimize the sport a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that people are trying.
Well,
really trying hard.
Again, I mean, when there's those kind of dollars starting to come into play, and some of these guys are getting $1 million endorsement deals now. I mean,
I have a hard time believing that all the girls in the CrossFit Games look the way they do and lift the way they do and run the way they do without some kind of help, because women don't look that way no matter how many squats and deadlifts and burpees I make them do.
It's certainly contrary to exercise physiology that I learned when I was a kid.
Now you look at someone like Camille, who's got some real women. I can't even call her fat. She has a softer look than most of the other girls.
Sure.
Maybe you tell me she's off, and I go, oh yeah, that makes sense to me. But
there's so many variables, though. I mean, there's certainly genetic factors. I mean, we all know that guy that was just knew was clean, was just a genetic freak, was just stronger than everybody, and never
quads like you guys.
I mean, London Fletcher.
You're too tall. We have to bulk you up. How tall are you?
6'4".
So if we got you up to like 385, you would be great at Olympic.
You got to start eating meat, though.
You got to start eating meat.
But like,
we got you some wild game.
Next podcast.
But I mean, like London Fletcher. When I transferred to play football at John Carroll, London Fletcher was there, and London went on. He had a 15-year career in the NFL. Didn't work out.
Yeah.
He just showed up. I remember the one day, he just showed up in a pair of Timberland boots and jeans and went in and squatted like 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Like just cold, warmed up a little bit, boom, horrible technique, legs like tree trunks.
Yeah.
Then would go out and he'd run a 4.48 40, a 2:45, and didn't lift at all. And I mean, again, soft look, wasn't, but was just a massive, powerful, just had the DNA and the genes to be like that. So, but I don't, and that's an anomaly.
Right.
But so, and then there's other people that are just built like brick shit houses and don't do anything. So it's weird.
It'll be fun to watch. I'd like to see where it goes. If I'm consulting for CrossFit, I tell them to just keep doing what they're doing. Just every once in a while, throw somebody on the spit and let them burn.
That is the thing. When you look at CrossFit, and just every year seems to keep growing and growing. And I feel like once Reebok's out of the window,
looks like they're going to be out of the window.
I think so. Yeah, I mean that's what everybody's saying.
So they've got their
filed a lawsuit
and
suing them, because they're not selling shoes the right way. Giving them the cut they're supposed to give them, something like that. But it's like if Nike gets behind this thing, it'll be
goodbye.
Yeah, it'll be gangbusters. And it's to me,
Reebok might be the only thing holding them back.
Yeah, that's a good point. But it's like how do you turn it into a professional sport?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do you turn it? You can figure out a way. I know there was like a grid league. They tried to make it like a sport.
I think it might be taking a shoe company out of the equation, and then they can get sponsorship. Just like UFC, they have to wear Reebok stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
They can't wear their tap out shirts or whatever
Right.
anymore. It's hard to make money that way, you know.
Yeah, unless Nike comes up with $500 million,
Right.
and then it's
Well, good.
you know,
Put a few more Asian kids to work.
I tell you, it seems like they're heading that way. I mean, they're signing endorsement deals with all the big names, or not all the big name, but high profile.
Frazier's a Nike guy, right?
Frazier, Sarah Sigma's daughter, Carol Webb,
Yeah.
the guy you were just talking about, the SEAL, but Bridges, they're all Nike, and they're letting them wear it. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
You know, years ago you weren't allowed to wear anything that didn't have it.
Right.
Now at regionals this year, they were letting Nike athletes wear Nike apparel, and so yeah, it's all interesting, man. But it's all cool stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool to have these conversations.
Let's do it again.
Love it.
Anything else, pal?
No, thanks for letting me hang out.
What? You gave a nice talk about Iceland and the barbell club.
The barbell club, and barbell
Pal,
club.
you have been on the show more than anyone else, though. This is your fourth
Oh,
appearance.
that's what's up.
It's about time,
Yeah.
man. You know.
I shut up. Yeah. I was thinking, all the big weightlifting, Black Flag Barbell Club.
Black Flag Radio.
Yeah. That's actually going. We started just like, we didn't think, we just, hey, let's
A
get,
couple of idiots just talking about nothing.
and it's growing. It's growing pretty fast. So if you want to listen to 3.
He's the most fucking spokesman in the world.
Fuck.
Jesus Christ. Are you on heroin?
Give me another dose.
So, if you guys want to hear some really cool talk about weightlifting and
I have
CrossFit,
it.
all this
Yeah,
other
I have
stuff, you should
it.
listen
I
to
write
Black Flag
better.
Radio.
I write better than I speak.
Wow.
Yeah, check it out at Black Flag
Thank you.
Radio.
This is the guy that made a podcasting.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, I'm gonna stop talking.
All right, that's enough. All right, guys, this has been the Refined Savage. See ya.
Thank you.